Christian colleges are targeted for their views on gender. The former Treasury Secretary weighs in on the war on cash, and the U.S. plans to get tough with Israel. This is SkyWatchTV for Tuesday, May 10th, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. First, new tension between the U.S. and Iran over Tehran's threat to block the Strait of Hormuz. The deputy commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard made that threat last Tuesday. His statement came 2 days after Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, criticized the U.S. for coming from the other side of the world to hold naval exercises in the Persian Gulf. Dozens of Iranian soldiers were reportedly killed by an ISIS bomb in Aleppo over the weekend. Arab news sources report that as many as 50 died when a bomb was detonated under a government building in that city. Iran's Press TV reporting that Turkish artillery killed 55 ISIS fighters north of Aleppo, near the border with Turkey. The shelling reportedly retaliation for repeated rocket attacks by ISIS on the Turkish border town of Kilis. And ISIS has issued new threats against Israel over the weekend, releasing at least 10 videos showing soldiers, they say, on their way to attack Jerusalem. All the videos mentioned the Palestinian issue, Jerusalem, and the timing of the attacks, saying that we are coming and we're coming soon. And meanwhile, an ISIS affiliate based out in the Sinai Peninsula killed 8 Egyptian policemen in a suburb of Cairo over the weekend. 4 masked terrorists with automatic weapons jumped out of a vehicle that blocked a minibus carrying the officers. They fired hundreds of bullets into the bus, killing everyone inside. The United States reportedly about to take a tougher stance with Israel. The so-called Middle East Quartet, the U.S., the EU, the UN, and Russia, are getting ready to issue a major policy report. Should come out sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Diplomats involved in writing the document say that the U.S. is taking a harder line with Israel than it has in the past. We'll focus on Israeli construction in Judea, Samaria, and Jerusalem, and will also criticize Israel for demolishing illegally built Arab buildings, many of which were put up with assistance and support from the EU. Secretary of State John Kerry gave the commencement speech at Northeastern University Friday night and took the opportunity to slam presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump, specifically his wall or proposed wall along the southern border. He also told students that they're about to graduate into a complex and borderless world. Now, there is one area of the world that is essentially borderless, and that's the world of economics. China is struggling again, and as China goes, so goes much of the world's economy. Its main stock indices dropped Monday between 4.5% and 7%. Well, giving into pressure from the largest LGBT advocacy groups, the Department of Education has published a list of Christian colleges asking for exemptions from Title IX over their views on transgenderism. In December, the Human Rights Campaign issued a report calling for greater transparency for religious schools seeking exemptions under the guise of religious liberty. Those are their words, not mine. Now, Title IX is the 1972 law that prevents discrimination on the basis of sex, mainly used to guarantee women equal access to intercollegiate sports. But in 2014, the Department of Education, without a vote in Congress, expanded the definition to include gender identity, not just biological sex. This compelled schools to accommodate men who identify as women, granting them access to female housing, even allowing them to compete on women's sports teams. You can see how this definition might be a problem for Christian institutions. According to the Department of Education list, 74 schools have filed for exemptions since 2009 to avoid losing federal funding. Well, the move, publishing this list, opens the schools to possible lawsuits, certainly public ridicule by advocacy groups like the Human Rights Campaign. Everett Piper, president of Oklahoma Wesleyan University, said his concern is for the protection of female students from invasion of privacy, saying, "We believe that women should be given the dignity of having their own restrooms, showers, and dorms." Shifting gears a bit, does planet Nibiru hold a message for surviving the end of the world? A Jewish lecturer and filmmaker thinks so. Yuval Ovadiah says in a new video released to the internet that God's final test for humanity is whether we will choose materialism or spirituality, which he defined as worshiping him and fulfilling the commandments that he gave to us at Mount Sinai. Now, according to Obadiah, the Talmud said that Noah's flood was caused by God moving one star. And he suggests that Nibiru, or Planet X, Nemesis, Planet 9 if you prefer, has been sent to prepare the world for the end of days. Now, setting aside the question of whether Planet 9 or Planet X or Nibiru actually exists, Obadiah, with all due respect, misses the mark when he says that only putting your trust in Hashem, Yahweh, God, and no one else, not even King Mashiach, will save you. And as Christians, of course, that is out of bounds. You see, the Messiah is Hashem. In an interview, Obadiah said that NASA, over the last 30 years, has used advanced technology to screen Nibiru from the Earth, so we don't know that it's coming. I would just point out that there are 13 other nations that have launch capabilities, space agencies who can put things into orbit, and more than 50 nations around the world have space agencies that operate satellites, and not all of them are friendly to the United States. So believing that NASA has control over all of them is stretching credulity just a bit. But never fear, Planet 9 may not exist after all. Scientists have determined that there is a low probability that a Neptune-mass planet could be hiding somewhere out there in the Kuiper Belt. Now, of course, this is based on a new set of computer simulations that contradict the earlier set of computer simulations suggesting that Planet 9 was out there in the first place. Back to Earth, former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers applauds the death of the 500 euro note. I told you last week the European Central Bank officially announced it will stop distributing the bill in 2018. And as expected, Summers, who has previously called for the United States to ban the Benjamin, get rid of the $100 bill, said that this is a good move. And Summers' arguments boil down to this: the only people who use large denomination banknotes are criminals and terrorists. My reply to Mr. Summers is the same. When cash is eliminated, banks and governments will have a record of every transaction you make and will therefore be able to control what you are able to buy and sell. Not to mention being able to force you to accept banks charging negative interest rates for the privilege of holding your deposits. Which kind of makes this next story even more interesting. President Obama recently toured Europe trying to convince our allies there to sign the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, or TTIP. But the Europeans have figured out that there's something fundamentally wrong with this deal, this secret deal that we must pass to find out what's in. German Economic News, which is a newspaper in Germany, ran a story Friday quoting the U.S. ambassador to Italy, who, it appears, has let the cat out of the bag. Ambassador John Phillips reportedly said that Europe needs to pass TTIP to protect large banks from being sued by cheated investors, such as, here in the United States, where Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase were successfully sued by cheated investors and had to pay back billions of dollars in ill-won profits. Now, under TTIP, the tribunal system, which I told you about last week, basically all legal matters falling under TTIP would be adjudicated by 3-member tribunals, staffed probably by corporate attorneys who mainly work for these large corporations, handling their cases in court, would allow perhaps a bank fined by a government for cheating investors to turn around and sue that government for lost profits. And under TTIP, again, the case would be heard by this 3-person tribunal, the ruling of which would supersede local, state, and federal law. Supporters of TTIP, like President Obama, argue that this is a more efficient way of settling disputes, trade disputes, because it eliminates courts. However, it also, in the long term, eliminates democracy by fining governments into submission to these unelected, unaccountable corporate arbitrators. TTIP and the TPP, a bad deal. Scientists are warning that global warming could make the Middle East uninhabitable within 100 years. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute in Germany and the Cyprus Institute on Cyprus predict that the Middle East and Africa will be harder hit by global warming than the rest of the world. They predict that summer heat in the Middle East could reach 114 degrees Fahrenheit regularly by 2050, and by the end of the century, as high as 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which would make the area virtually uninhabitable. But science has the answer. A group of courageous researchers are tackling a problem that is the scourge of the earth, and that is cow flatulence. Yes, the methane released into the atmosphere by our bovine friends is considered a primary source of heat-trapping methane, which of course wreaks havoc on our climate. Well, researchers have discovered that a little-known compound called 3-nitrooxypropanol, or 3-NOP, when added in small amounts to feed for cattle, reduces gas in our four-legged friends by up to 30%. One wonders how one quantifies that. Never mind. Researchers add that methane emissions are essentially an energy loss anyway, because it's energy that is converted into gas rather than into weight on the cattle, which would then be converted into steak and ground beef. So it's a win-win. Thanks to 3-NOP, we get beefier cattle, cleaner dairy air. See what I did there? And Florida stays above water. Just thank God the tens of millions of bison who roamed the Great Plains didn't pass gas. This week on SkyWatch TV, we talk about, we continue our conversation with Steve Quayle on the Vatican's cover-up of pre-flood civilizations. It's his new documentary film, True Legends, The Unholy Sea, Part 2. Steve Quayle and Tom Horn joining me in studio. You can see that 4 times tonight, or 4 different places tonight, rather. The Victory Television Network in Arkansas and around Memphis, Sandusky, Ohio, WGGN-TV, Kalamazoo, Michigan, WLLA, TV 64, and coast to coast at 8:30 p.m. Central Time tonight on the Christian Television Network. DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, the Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. Most of these networks also stream live to the internet, by the way. You'll see it tomorrow afternoon, coast to coast on the Cornerstone Network, and then again Saturday on the Victory Television Network and the Christian Television Network. If you want a complete listing of dates and times and places to watch SkyWatch TV, log on to skywatchtv.com and look in the top menu bar for the link that says channel listing. And remember our online content. We put some programming on the interwebs that never makes it to network television, programs like Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck, Sci Friday, these daily news updates, and of course, extra interviews with guests featured on SkyWatch TV that we couldn't fit into our network television schedule. You'll find those at the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku or on YouTube, and you'll find links on how to access those at skywatchtv.com. Well, the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference, just a few months away. I'm already beginning to sweat my presentation. It is sold out, but the live stream is available to bring all of the presentations, or at least 32 of them. Bring all of the speakers into your home. 32 presentations in the main ballroom and the Aspen Room available for you to view. For the packages and to sign up, log on to prophecywatchers.com. Your support keeps us going during the month of May, May being the month of Mother's Day. Gifts appropriate for your mom. Books that she'll find useful, favorite family meals, and Survive the Unthinkable, a total guide to women's self-protection, as well as a beautiful personal journal that's worth $20 by itself, and a mug for mom's tea or coffee. All of that we will send to you for your gift of $20 or more to SkyWatch TV. To donate, log on to skywatchtv.com/donate. And of course, you can help us just by going online and clicking like, share, and subscribe at these places on the web. And when I get motivated and put stuff up on the interwebs, it goes here, my Facebook page, Twitter feed, and my website/blog. My email address for your comments, questions, and suggestions, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV. Save nearly half off the cover price when you subscribe now to the brand new SkyWatch TV magazine. For a limited time from April 24th through June 24th, 60 days only, a 5-year subscription to SkyWatch TV magazine is just $99. That's more than $75 off the cover price, which is like getting 2 years for free. Exclusive content, articles on prophecy, discovery, and the supernatural from Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, Josh Peck, science updates from Sharon K. Gilbert, geopolitics from yours truly, and guest writers like Pulitzer Prize-nominated journalist Troy Anderson, renowned Bible scholar Dr. Michael Heiser, Pentagon advisor Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, and more. But there is more. As an early subscriber, you'll be the first to get this new book from Defender Publishing. I predict what 12 global experts believe you'll see by 2025. This is a $20 value and includes best-selling authors like Joel Richardson, Mark Biltz, Carl Gallups, Tom Horn, Paul McGuire, and more. Find out what they think about the coming war between ISIS and the Vatican, the future of the Temple Mount and the Ark of the Covenant, a worldwide manifestation of angels, and the coming age of human hybrids. And we'll also add this DVD, The Best of SkyWatch TV 2015, a $25 value, including our most compelling interviews from last year, including Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, the discussion of the Georgia Guidestones with Chris Pinto, and more. All of this together worth more than $200, yours now for just $99, but only through June 24th. Subscribe now, SkyWatch TV Magazine. Call the number on your screen or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.